What's up, everybody? I'm Ryan McCaffrey with IGN here with Kynan Pearson, the lead multiplayer level designer at 343 Industries on Halo 4. And Kynan, you are walking us through all 10 Halo 4 multiplayer maps, giving us the behind the scenes, the strategy, the everything important you need to know coming up for the November 6th launch day. So which map are we going to take a look at now?
All right, so the map we're going to look at now is Haven. Haven is a small-scale 4v4 arena-based map. Takes place on some harmonic resonance platforms that are believed to sustain the existence of artificial suns. It's a great competitive space. It's a small-scale map, and even though it's small, there's plenty of opportunities for long lines of sight, long-range engagements. But even if you're playing a 1v1 match, this is the map that you want to go to because you can locate each other fairly well, and it's competitive and even.
So definitely another sort of ring-like feel here a little bit, going around the outer edge, funneling towards the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's this level is symmetrical along one axis. You have the lower ground area here, which is one team spawn start. You have the big central middle arena, which we're looking at here. And then you have the other team, which spawn back over here by this drop-down double ramp section. So the entire map, it's 2 stories. So you have these outer halls that will lead you into the center. You have a man cannon here that you can take that comes across and brings you into the center easily. But the spice from the level comes from these jump gaps. And these jump gaps highlight one of the best features of Halo, the ability to engage people and jump and fire while you're going across.
Or get fired at.
Or get fired at. The great thing is because these jump gaps are here, if I'm engaging somebody and my shields pop, I can actually just backpedal and fall safely onto the ground floor and then kind of get out of battle and find opportunities to do different things.
Unless, of course, you drop down in the middle of another firefight going on.
Absolutely, which is always a possibility, but your radar can kind of show you where things are happening if you pay close attention to it. There are these little pedestals up here giving you a little bit of additional coverage, and they're good grounds to kind of sit and isolate certain areas. You have these little cubbies in the back that you can actually drop down there, and I can show you that real fast. So this is just another set of ramps that take you back around, and you can kind of change your path to go back into the center if you want. But it's really easy to understand where you're at. Again, these are transparent, so you can see if somebody's down there, or they can see if you're up here. So you can do the drop down and immediately run for access there, or you can start heading back up towards this middle.
Now, how do you decide, this map's obviously Forerunner architecture, how do you decide how you're going to visually theme each level? Do you decide that ahead of time, or do you build the map first and then think, oh, okay, this would look good as a UNSC military theme area?
A lot of time when we're doing the map layout and mock-ups in terms of what the space is, the space can kind of define the theming of the level. So this one we knew from the start that it was going to be a Forerunner level dealing with Forerunner architecture. And this was kind of one of the levels that we were developing very early in the game. So this became a test bed for some of our early mode development and early kind of delving into the Forerunner structures and architecture. So when theming out a level, you know if you're going to have the angular surfaces and kind of the layouts that wouldn't make sense for a UNSC area or a Covenant area, that can start defining the theming of the map. But we have a really good concept team here who will basically do paint overs on the geo that's been constructed and make it look beautiful anyways. So sometimes we define it up front, and other times they'll just come back with something that we didn't expect that's amazing anyways.
So it looks like no vehicles on this map.
Definitely no vehicles on this map. We do put them in the Forge palette. If you just kind of want to make a custom game and you go in, you can put, I think I have Mongoose and Ghost available in this map. So while we don't have them in default types, we let you mess around with them in customs.
Now, I've been lucky enough to play this map a little bit, and I've played a round of Regicide here, which proved to be amazing on this map. Can you talk a little bit about maybe how Regicide functions on this map and your other personal favorite game types for this level?
Yeah, so Regicide is definitely a showcase for this map in particular because it's a free-for-all mode. The map, there's always multiple routes into any of the areas, so there's 3 routes everywhere to get to any area. So it's really difficult to kind of reinforce one specific location for too long. So Regicide's great because the entire flow of the map all goes out towards the center, but there's plenty of areas to run and plenty of routes that you can take and change elevation. So anytime you're trying to locate the king, you know exactly where he's at. The map is small enough that you can pretty much sprint to reach the areas where combat encounters are taking place. And then there's all the little things of being able to jump around, come into little cubbies, and then get out and find coverage. I think in general, this is one of the maps that we end up doing a lot of our 4v4 Team Slayer on, as well as free-for-all modes, because the scale of the map just allows you to have encounters pretty much anywhere, get into battle really fast, but also, as you can see, there's lots of little interesting lines of sight to find people running around and be able to engage people quickly and have some kind of little sneaky things that you do.
I know they vary depending which mode you're playing, but are there power weapons by default on this map, and where can we find those? And what was that trick you just did right there? Let's do that again. That's a pro move for sure. That I think if you're watching this video, you're gonna surprise your friends once or twice by doing that.
So we do leave a little few areas where we have these routes, these secret routes that they're not really secret because you can tell that it's ramped here, but it requires you to kind of sprint run and then you can jump back into this area. So it's just a fast way to get up here. You can run the back route, which is not too much further than this, where you have these ramping areas.
Right.
But that's definitely a little pro tip shortcut that you can take to kind of get back up into the middle if you do an immediate drop down and somebody turns around and thinks that you're kind of getting out of battle.
So how about the power weapons then? Before we had to interrupt to learn a developer secret.
Yeah, so we've got initial ordnance. The scatter shot's really good here because the scatter shot has reflective fire, so you can kind of bank shots around if somebody's sitting in this little cubby and everything, and you start just firing the scatter shot here. The shots can actually kind of just reflect and fill this area. We have the Needler, which is a power weapon that has made a comeback and
Did you just call the Needler a power weapon?
Yeah, the Needler is in fact a power weapon because it has guided shots in terms of once your reticle's red, it's really easy to fill somebody up so that they can super combine. But yeah, it's one of those things where if you come across somebody with a Needler, there's actually something to fear.
We've come such a long way from Halo 1 multiplayer where the Needler was the laughing stock. So what else can we learn about this map?
Well, the good thing is, that even though the map is fully symmetrical, it's easy to tell which side you're on whenever you're spawning because the flow of the map. You can see that these little indicators here on the halls kind of have these little sweeping lines. So whenever you're having encounters in these areas, you've got some coverage in the pillars that are in the center, but you always know which ones are leading towards which area just because of the sweep of this and the window structures. The other thing, though, is that right now you can see with the drop downs and the jumps that even if you're backpedaling, we took a lot of time to make sure that you're not going to backpedal, fall, and run off. And this is another one of the things where we have the little support structures, and the pads down here are wide enough that for the most part you have to kind of commit to jumping off, trying to do something like jetpack or whatever to fall to your death.
Now you mentioned that this was one of the first levels that you guys really had up and running, that you used it to sort of test out a lot of things. So has it changed and evolved through that process since it's been around one of the longest?
During the arting process, a lot of things were addressed or shifted, but for the most part, the general flow of the level has remained the same. And ultimately, it was one of those things where when we started making this, we wanted to have something that had a traditional Halo feel, would fit comfortably into any Halo really, and could function, but also that just had its own unique elements that capitalized on some of the things that we were doing with the armor abilities that we have and the weapon types that we've provided.
And finally, speaking of armor abilities, I've been asking you on just about every map we've been profiling. What, depends on game type, sure, but what are your personal picks for armor abilities that suit this map well?
So for me, it's thruster pack all day on this map. Other people will speak to other things, but I think just the fact that you've got these corners, it's a really tight-knit map. Whenever you're engaging people at distance or whatever, you can kind of do this until your shield's pop and then thrust over. But again, the shield is always a good thing to have, just to be able to back out of combat as well. Jetpack will give you some minor opportunities on the outside, but we've got the lower ceilings in here. You're not really going to break the flow of the map.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, that is Haven. And for more on all 10 Halo 4 multiplayer maps, breakdowns of all 10 with the designers from 343 Industries, keep it locked right here to IGN.